The video you're about to see first aired on our Cowboys Report YouTube channel, but this right here is your hub for all our great NFL draft coverage from all the different team channels here at Chat Sports. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button for daily draft videos right now. You guys are watching the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. We are just over a month out from the 2024 NFL Draft, give or take, depending on when you're watching this one. I want to do another 7-round mock draft because I like to explore different scenarios, how things, but it's valuable for the actual draft process. Now, should we do a fan-led mock draft? Like the video if we should. The more likes we get, the more likely we are to do it. So Cowboys here in the first round. Some notable players off the board. Kind of a painful run here. Troy Fautanu goes pretty early. Byron Murphy goes early. Jackson Powers-Johnson, Amarius Mims go 20 and 21. And that one stings to me pretty painfully. So some players who are on the board. You know, Nate Wiggins, which I knew would be my top 2 players. But do you want an undersized 3 technique? Do you want to go with a corner who might not start for you in year 1? Guyton and Barton have some concerns for me in the sense that I think they want Tyler Smith at left guard, but Barton can't play left tackle. A.D. Mitchell's on the board at wide receiver. I could take one of the linemen, could take the best player available. What I'm going to do, though, is see who calls and makes a trade offer. And the Ravens step up. Now, this is a notable trade down. I'm moving down from 24 to 30. I would bet that several of those players I had interest in are going to go off the board here. But I get a top 100 pick. And with all of the needs I have, I'm going to trade down and hope 1 or 2 of those guys are still there and I can still address one of my needs. So I said yes to the trade. The players who went off the board, bookend receivers, Brian Thomas Jr. and A.D. Mitchell off the board just like that. Tyler Guyton goes 25. That one stung. Chop Robinson, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Johnny Newton also go off the board. So several of the top players I was considering there are gone. 2 of them really were still left, and I have an extra top 100 pick. So if the draft plays out similar to that, would you trade down? That's a steep drop to have happen. Might miss on some good players. Would you trade down? Y for yes, N for no. It's the pinned comment on this video. If the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. So that leaves these players on the board. Nate Wiggins out of Clemson, who would be my highest graded player. Pure BPA would be Nate Wiggins. Ladd McConkey is my next receiver. Jordan Morgan is my top tackle, but his arm length means he might play guard. I've got Graham Barton, and I got Zach Frazier. So I'm going to take Graham Barton. And part of my rationale here is I'm filling one of my glaring needs along the interior of this team by taking Graham Barton. He could play center for me, or I could plug him in at left guard and kick Tyler Smith out there to left tackle, depending on what other picks end up becoming available. I think Barton is a very good football player. This team doesn't often miss on offensive linemen in the first round. They do a pretty good job of that. I would trust them from that perspective. I would have much rather had JPJ or Mims. If they're both gone, I like the trade down idea. Over now to round 2. Some recent picks here. Zach Frazier goes 49th. Boy, wouldn't that have been nice. Some players I like. Ricky Pearsall out of Florida. Troy Franklin off the board. Those would have been some good value picks. I'm kind of glad Peyton Wilson's gone because the medical scares me. Ruka Rororo out of Clemson could be a defensive tackle option. I'm going to go DT because I need more help stopping the run and getting some push. I'm going to go with another fatty. Mike Zimmer likes to have multiple of these players on the roster, and if I can get Trevondre Sweat in the second as opposed to the first, I have interest there. I don't know if he's ever going to truly be a 3-down player, but for a team that consistently talks about how they want to be better at stopping the run, I think Sweat can do that. I think Sweat and Mozzie Smith on first down, try one of them out on third downs as well, I think could absolutely work. So I'm going to gamble on that one. Some players who were on the board, I actually like Roman Wilson a lot, but it's tough to me to justify a receiver, pure BPA, when I have to draft for need, unfortunately. Trey Benson was there. I got 2/3. I'm going to gamble one of these guys falls to me. I like Junior Colson. The Yale offensive tackle was also highly intriguing to me, but I also didn't want to spend back-to-back picks on the offensive line. I think I can start one of TJ Bass or Brock Hoffman. I just don't want to start both of them. We've got a deal for you guys. The Cowboys NFL Jam shirts are still available. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Trayvon Diggs, Micah Parsons, or the good old days of Troy Aikman and Michael Irving. Chatsports.com/CowboysJam. We will put that link for you in the comments section and the description of today's show. Comfortable t-shirt, by the way. I have one myself. Big fan of it. CeeDee Lamb was wearing one this year too, which I thought was pretty funny at training camp. That's why we got the link for you guys. Chatsports.com/CowboysJam. Some recent picks here. Blake Fisher at 82. I would have thought about that one and tried to go with another offensive lineman. I think you flip to the left side maybe. Run on receivers and players I liked. Jeremiah Trotter at linebacker. Javon Baker at Central Florida. Jamari Thrash out of Louisville. And Jerrion Jones out of Florida State also off the board. Now, Trey Benson went a lot earlier, but a running back that I'm a big fan of was on the board. Jaylen Wright out of Tennessee. This is actually my number 2 back. He'd be number 3 if Jonathan Brooks didn't have the torn ACL, but I love a ton about this kid's game. He is explosive. He is dynamic. He had 1,000 yards on 137 carries this past year. He can do some third down stuff for you as well. Highly intrigued with Jaylen Wright. And I think if you let him be your explosive back, there's a lot of good things that could come from having him on the roster. I like his game a lot. My initial comp for him, when I told it to a buddy of mine in the NFL, he's like, go outside. What's his response? Might have been a bit too aggressive on that one. But athletically, you're talking about a large human being who's in the 220s who also managed to run in below 4.4. I think Jaylen Wright is absolutely worth a third-round pick. I love his game. Some other recent picks here in the third round, between pick 87 and between pick 93. Malachi Corley off the board. Patrick Paul off the board. Cedric Van Pran, Renardo Green, Kalen Bullock. So some guys that had kind of not been available that I would have had interest in. Corley also kind of stands out as an interesting fit. I don't know if he's really a true receiver, but I thought a lot about him. I don't think Paul gets the throw. That's part of why I didn't take him previously. I'm like, he's not going to be there. If I had Tyron Smith, though, on this team, I think Patrick Paul could be a great round 2 pick, but that's kind of a luxury for a guy that needs time to adjust. Thought about the center as well. But I also wanted to explore how does a mock draft go with one premium pick on the offensive line. So back to the running backs here. Lots of routes you can go. This team is probably going to draft one on day 2. Name a player, a running back, who you want to see the Dallas Cowboys draft. Another third-round pick here, number 93. I'm going to go Cam Hart out of Notre Dame. This is, you're probably going to have to do something long-term on the outside. I think Cam Hart is an undervalued prospect who should go earlier than this. He's tall, he's long, he's athletic, and he didn't get beat that much at Notre Dame. This is a Dan Quinn pick through and through, but I like the way Dan Quinn likes his corners. Tall, long, athletic, highly, highly intriguing to me from that perspective. Other guys who are on the board, Dwayne Carter out of Duke, I'm intrigued by quite a bit as a sleeper there. Again, it's tough to go another DT when you took one earlier. Brendan Rice was there out of USC, Christian Mahogany. Jacob Cowing scares me, but he's a fun, dynamic piece along, or at wide receiver, excuse me. Now, round 5. You need an edge, by the way. And I am going to beg you guys to ignore the helmet and do not think this is just another Taco Charlton. Jalen Harrell, I think, offers more athletic juice than Taco Charlton ever did. I think was an even more productive pure pass rusher for the Wolverines this year. I am thin at pass rusher. I need to get another one. 6.5 sacks, 9 TFLs for the Wolverines. He can be my number 4 edge. The expectations will be very different than Taco Charlton's were. And I think the bar is very low, can be a better NFL player. I know the trauma that exists when you see that winged helmet, but I think you'll be okay. Over to the 6th round. And this guy I think should be like a 4th round pick at the latest maybe. But hey, I use the PFF sim. Some guys fall. Give me Trevin Wallace, who is, by the way, a 30 visit for the Dallas Cowboys. Highly athletic football player. At times, I think needs to work on the instincts a little bit that can come with growth, etc. Adding another linebacker makes so much sense to me. I am fine short term with Kendricks, Clark, and Overshone. That's kind of all I have right now at the position. So I think day 2, day 3, 1 or 2 linebackers makes so much sense. Now, we will be live for the 2024 NFL Draft, so do not miss out. Hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/CowboysTV. I'm going to double dip at linebacker. I need more depth there. I'm going to keep throwing day 3 assets at this position. Kalen DeLoach out of Florida State is a highly fast football player, and he can blitz. He had 7 sacks for Florida State. I think he's more straight line athlete than he is kind of anything else. But if I'm taking another linebacker, that guy has to help on special teams. So that makes sense to me. Again, I have 3 viable NFL linebackers on my roster right now. I'm in the 7th round. I'm basically adding my premium undrafted free agent options. I'm going to need to get some more pieces in there. So I think going after Kalen DeLoach and Trayvon Wallace, 2 athletic linebackers, day 3 instead of drafting, one guy in round 2, I'm fine with that plan. Final round 7 pick is Frank Crum. It's a dart throw at offensive tackle, and when you're 6'8" and you have one of the best athletic score combines, I'm intrigued. The production was okay for Wyoming in terms of the grades and results and everything. Not exactly premier or off the charts or dynamic, but it does give me the options to try to groom him. He could probably be a practice squad player for me in the end. It's the back end of the 7th round. I don't like the 7th round options, and I think even really once you get into day 3, I don't love the offensive line options, but I don't have enough picks to fill all of my needs, do I? That's what I keep coming up to. I traded down to get some more to get some help. I got Graham Barton, who's going to start for me somewhere on the interior of the offensive line. Sweat's going to help my run defense. Wright will start for me. Cam Hart will be a starter at corner. I got edge rotation depth in Jaylen Hale, I got 2 linebackers to round out a very thin unit in Trevin Wallace and Kalen DeLoach, and I'm going to gamble on an offensive tackle to develop. I don't have enough picks to fill my needs. That's what I keep coming back to. That's why I like the trade down idea. But it's just the math is not mathing for me in the end. So grade the Cowboys mock draft. A, B, C, D, or F. Go ahead and sound off. You can be honest. I can take the criticism in the comments section.